Anti-gravity technology has been around for decades, and there is plenty of evidence to support it. One of its pioneers was Otis Carr, a researcher who was subjected to unimaginable pressures. If he had succeeded in implementing anti-gravity technology on a large scale, what would have happened to today's aerospace and petrochemical industries? Would they still be viable? Is our collective consciousness ready for technologies that could change our entire society? A paper titled Outside the Box/Energy and Land and Space Transportation Technologies for the 21st Century, published by Professor Theodore Lodra of the University of New Hampshire, examines the development of anti-gravity research in the United States and highlights how research activity in this area seems to have died out by the mid-1950s. Then he examines the recently reported scientific findings and the testimonies of scientists who show us that this research and technology is viable and very advanced. Professor Lodra says, the disclosure of discoveries in this field will dramatically change our 20th century view of physics and technology, and it must be taken into account in planning both the energy and transportation needs of the 21st century. The question we ask ourselves is this: why was public research in the field of anti-gravity suppressed in the mid-1950s? Was it because it had to be kept secret so that it could be used exclusively in the military space field? Otis Carr is one of many examples where there are indications that advanced technologies, such as anti-gravity, are actually achievable. In the late 1950s, Carr's company, OTC Enterprises Incorporated of Baltimore, Maryland, made a public statement that it was ready to produce a flying saucer that could travel outside the Earth's atmosphere. All it needed to finance the project was a massive sum of money, about $20 million. Now keep in mind that this was the 1950s. At that time, there was a great wave of UFO sightings, and the subject was receiving a lot of media attention. Rumors of crashed UFOs were circulating at that time. Here, for example, is a document from the CIA archive that says the following. A German newspaper recently published an interview with George Klein, a German engineering expert, describing the experimental construction of a flying saucer that he carried out in the period 1941 to 1945. The document describes how many people believe that flying saucers were, in fact, a post-war development. Klein claimed that the German flying saucer could reach 12 kilometers in just 3 minutes, reaching a speed of 4,000 kilometers per hour. Otis Carr, as mentioned above, had similar claims. He even gave numerous public demonstrations and was able to raise millions of dollars from extremely wealthy people to do so. If they didn't believe him, how did he get all this funding? But Carr's public invention of the anti-gravity UFO was dangerous to the military complex, being considered a matter of national security. Carr's goal was to fly to the moon in a circular spaceship. This was propelled by an artificial gravitational field, the Carr gravity engine. The ship was powered by an neutron electric accumulator, a self-charging battery that used the electromagnetic force of the sun. Carr was heavily criticized and ridiculed by the press. Like other great inventors, Carr's research was seized by the government. This happened in January 1961 when Louis J. Lefkowitz, the Attorney General of New York at the time, declared that engineer Carr had defrauded the state of $50,000. Because he could not pay the fine, he was sentenced to 14 years in prison. This is what happens to those who want to make dangerous inventions.